On September 20th, 1973, tennis star Billie Jean King faced off against former men's champion Bobby Riggs in a match famously dubbed the Battle of the Sexes. The highly publicized event was more than just a tennis match. It became a symbol of the fight for gender equality and a pivotal moment in sports history. King's victory over Riggs, watched by millions around the world, not only challenged near stereotypes but also galvanized the women's movement and elevated the profile of women's sports. This narrative explores the events leading up to the match, King's groundbreaking win, and its lasting impact on society.
Billie Jean King, born in 1943 in Long Beach, California, was already a trailblazer in women's tennis long before the Battle of the Sexes. A fierce advocate for gender equality, King fought tirelessly for equal prize money and better opportunities for female athletes. In 1970, she was a founding member of the Virginia Slim Circuit, which eventually evolved into today's Women's Tennis Association, WOTA, providing women players with a platform to compete professionally and on equal terms with their male counterparts. Bobby Riggs, a former world No.1 tennis player and Wimbledon champion in the 1940s, had long since retired from professional tennis by the early 1970s. Known for his showmanship and love of publicity, Riggs began promoting the idea that even at 55 years old, he could still beat any of the top female tennis players. His challenge was rooted in a belief that men were inherently superior athletes, and he sought to prove this on a global stage. After defeating Australian player Margaret Court in a similar exhibition match earlier in 1973, Riggs set his sights on King, whom he dubbed the women's lib leader. King understood that this was more than just a tennis match, it was an opportunity to strike a blow against the pervasive sexism that characterized sports and society at the time.
King was acutely aware of the stakes involved in the Battle of the Sexes. Riggs' victory over Court had reinforced negative stereotypes about women's abilities, and another loss could set back the progress of women's sports and the burgeoning women's rights movement. The pressure on King was immense, and she knew that her performance would be seen as a referendum on the legitimacy of female athletes and their place in the sporting world. The match also posed physical and psychological challenges. Riggs, a master of mind games, sought to unnerve King with his flamboyant antics and self-promotion. He publicly belittled women's tennis, describing the match as a no contest and referring to himself as a male chauvinist pig. King, however, remained focused and determined. She meticulously prepared for the match, refining her game strategy to counter Riggs' style of play and the psychological warfare he was known for. In addition, King had to balance her preparation for the match with her responsibilities as a player and advocate for women's rights. She was instrumental in establishing the Women's Tennis Association earlier that year, and she continued to push for equal prize money and better treatment for female athletes. Despite these distractions, King was resolute in her commitment to the match and the broader cause it represented.
The Battle of the Sexes took place at the Houston Astrodome, in front of over 30,000 spectators, and an estimated television audience of 90 million people worldwide, making it one of the most watched sporting events in history at the time. The atmosphere was electric, with the match billed as a spectacle that transcended sports. King, dressed in a blue and white sequin tennis dress, entered the court in style, carried on a gold litter by 4 shirtless men dressed as ancient slaves. Riggs, true to his showman persona, arrived in a rickshaw pulled by models dubbed Bobby's bosom buddies. But beneath the spectacle, the stakes were serious. From the start, King implemented a carefully thought-out strategy, refusing to play into Riggs' hands. Knowing that Riggs excelled at drop shots and precision play, King focused on a baseline game, moving him around the court and exploiting his lack of fitness and mobility. She played methodically and with determination, winning the first set 6-4. In the second set, Riggs tried to change tactics, but King maintained her composure and kept up the pressure, winning the set 6-3. By the third set, Riggs was visibly frustrated and fatigued. King continued to dominate, ultimately winning the set 6-3 and securing a straight-set victory. Her win was decisive and commanding, demonstrating not only her superior skill but also her ability to handle the immense psychological pressure.
Billie Jean King's victory in the battle of the sexes was a defining moment for women's sports and the broader fight for gender equality. It was a symbolic triumph over the entrenched sexism that permeated sports and society at the time. King's performance shattered the myth that women were inferior athletes and provided a powerful counter-argument to those who dismissed the capabilities of female competitors. The impact of the match was immediate and far-reaching. It helped to elevate the status of women's tennis and encouraged other sports to take women's competitions more seriously. King's victory also inspired a generation of young women to pursue sports and other endeavors with the belief that they could compete and succeed on equal terms with men. The match also had significant repercussions for the women's rights movement. It highlighted the need for equal opportunities and recognition in all fields, not just sports. King became an icon of empowerment and a vocal advocate for Title IX, the landmark U.S. legislation passed in 1972 that prohibits sex discrimination in federally funded education programs, including sports. Her continued advocacy helped to ensure that generations of female athletes would have access to the same resources and opportunities as their male counterparts.
Billie Jean King's victory in the Battle of the Sexes remains one of the most iconic moments in sports history. It was more than just a tennis match, it was a cultural event that challenged societal norms and contributed to a shift in attitudes toward gender equality. King's courage, skill, and determination made her a symbol of progress and a role model for athletes and activists alike. In the years since, King has continued to champion the causes of gender equality, Leg 2 rights, and social justice. She founded the Women's Sports Foundation to advance the lives of women through sports and established the Billie Jean King Leadership Initiative to promote diversity and inclusion in the workplace. The legacy of the Battle of the Sexes lives on, reminding us of the power of sport to affect social change and the importance of standing up for equality and justice. King's victory was not just a win for women's tennis, but a victory for all those who believe in the fundamental right to compete and succeed on an equal playing field.
Billie Jean King's triumph in the Battle of the Sexes was a groundbreaking achievement that transcended sports and became a powerful symbol of the fight for gender equality. Her victory over Bobby Riggs was a testament to her skill, determination, and unwavering commitment to justice. As we reflect on this historic match, we are reminded of the progress that has been made in the pursuit of equality and the work that still remains. King's legacy continues to inspire athletes, advocates, and all those who strive for a more just and inclusive world.